Emmanuel Haro has not been located. His sudden disappearance has shaken not only his family but an entire community that continues to search for answers. Friends describe him as a man full of life, devoted to those he loved, and with every passing day, the silence around his absence grows more unbearable. Families are left shattered, investigators are left scrambling, and questions echo louder than ever. Where is Emmanuel Haro? The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department has been at the center of this search, releasing updates, holding press briefings, and urging the public to remain patient. Yet, for all the official statements and all the promises of justice, Emanuel remains missing. And then, a shocking twist. Just hours before a critical court hearing, a development no one expected. Rebecca Haro, tied directly to the case, broke her silence. She confessed. What she revealed in that moment is still being kept behind closed doors, but almost instantly, the hearing was postponed. No explanations, no clear answers, just a sudden delay. The new date, October 16th. That announcement has left the public stunned, confused, and deeply suspicious. Because a confession should bring clarity, a confession should bring closure. Instead, it has brought delay, secrecy, and more uncertainty. So the questions grow louder. What exactly are the courts trying to hide? Why would law enforcement push back a case after such a pivotal breakthrough? And most importantly, can the public still trust the system to tell the truth, or is something much darker unfolding behind the scenes? The disappearance of Emmanuel Haro is more than a headline. It's a haunting reminder of how fragile truth can be when hidden behind sealed doors and postponed hearings. October the 16th of May hold answers, but until then, the questions will not stop. What do you believe? Is this justice being carefully built, or justice being quietly delayed? I want to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. And if you don't want to miss a single update on this case, make sure you subscribe right now and turn on notifications. I'll be following every detail inside and outside the courtroom, so you know exactly what they don't want you to see. This is Detective Emma, and the truth is out there. Together we will find it. To truly understand the weight of this update, we need to step back and retrace the story of Emmanuel Haro. Emmanuel was last seen in circumstances that quickly raised red flags. Family members reported his disappearance, and almost immediately concern turned to fear. Days became weeks, and weeks turned into months, yet Emmanuel never returned home. Law enforcement launched searches, interviews were conducted, and the community rallied, holding vigils and demanding answers. Still, no sign of him was ever found. Throughout this investigation, one name surfaced repeatedly: Rebecca Haro. Her connection to Emmanuel made her a figure of interest, but for a long time, she remained silent, offering little to no clarity on what really happened. Her silence became almost as loud as Emmanuel's absence. Then, just before a key court hearing that many hoped would finally shed light on the case, Rebecca broke that silence. She confessed. And with that single act, the ground beneath this investigation shifted. Her confession could hold the missing pieces, the explanation of where Emanuel is, what happened to him, and why he vanished. But instead of answers, her admission brought delay. The court hearing, once anticipated to reveal critical details, was suddenly pushed back. And that is why this confession matters so much. It is not just a personal revelation. It is a turning point that could expose flaws in the investigation, reveal hidden truths, or uncover an even larger cover-up. Because this isn't just about one missing man, it is about trust. Trust in the justice system, trust in the courts, and trust in law enforcement. And right now, all of that hangs in the balance. After Rebecca Haro's confession, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department released an official update. On the surface, it seemed routine, a formal statement, carefully worded, almost clinical. But when you listen closely, it's what they didn't say that speaks the loudest. The sheriff's office confirmed that the hearing had been postponed until October 16th. They acknowledged Rebecca's confession, but they offered no details about what she revealed. No mention of where Emanuel might be, no clarity on whether evidence has been found, and no explanation for why a case with such a critical breakthrough would be delayed. Instead, their language was cautious, deliberate, and frustratingly vague. For a family still waiting for answers, and for a community desperate for the truth, this was not the reassurance they needed. It was another wall of silence, and that silence leaves the door wide open to speculation. Is law enforcement withholding information because the case is more complicated than it appears? Or are they protecting someone, shielding certain details from public view? Every official update is supposed to bring clarity, but this one only deepened the mystery. And as October 16th looms, the public is left to wonder, is this the justice system working behind the scenes, or is it the beginning of another cover-up? Rebecca Haro's confession is the turning point that nobody saw coming. For weeks, she kept silent, speaking very little to investigators, giving almost nothing to the public, and leaving Emmanuel's disappearance shrouded in mystery. Then, on the eve of a crucial court hearing, she finally broke. But what did she really confess to? Was it a full admission of guilt, a partial acknowledgement, or something else entirely? The truth is, we don't know. Authorities have not disclosed the details. They have confirmed only that Rebecca spoke, and whatever she revealed was serious enough to change the entire trajectory of this case. A confession can mean many things. It can be an act of guilt, driven by conscience and the unbearable weight of hiding the truth. It can be the result of pressure, fear, or manipulation. Or it can be a strategic move, a calculated statement made not to tell the truth, but to protect someone else. That is why this confession changes everything. It isn't just another piece of evidence. It's a direct voice from the center of the storm. And yet, instead of moving the case forward, the confession has pressed pause. So the questions multiply. Did Rebecca reveal the location of Emmanuel? Did she admit to knowing more than she previously said? Or did she say just enough to raise doubt, without closing the case? Until October 16th, those answers remain locked behind courtroom doors, and the silence surrounding her words leaves the public to ask, is this confession the beginning of justice, or the beginning of a cover-up? After Rebecca Haro's confession, many believed the next morning's court session would finally bring clarity. Families expected answers. The public expected progress. Instead, they were met with a shocking announcement. The case was postponed. The new date, October 16th. On paper, postponements are not unusual. Courts delay hearings all the time, to review new evidence, to give attorneys more time, or to ensure due process is followed. But in this case, the timing could not have been more suspicious. A confession, followed immediately by a delay. For many watching, it felt less like procedure, and more like a smokescreen. Why would the court push back a hearing that had the potential to expose the truth? One explanation is strategy. Prosecutors may want more time to analyze Rebecca's confession, to strengthen their case before revealing it in open court. But another explanation is far more troubling, that there are gaps in the evidence, inconsistencies in her story, or even hidden details that authorities are not ready to face in public. For Emmanuel's family, this decision was devastating. Each delay is another day of waiting, another day of silence, another day of not knowing where their loved one is. For the public, it raises deeper doubts about whether the justice system is truly working for them or against them. And so, instead of resolution, the court's decision has left everyone in limbo. A confession that should have moved the case forward has instead pushed it back. And with every day that passes, faith in the system grows weaker. Because justice delayed is not just justice postponed, it is justice that risks being denied. The disappearance of Emmanuel Haro is no longer just about one missing man. It has become a test of public trust. When the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department confirmed the postponement, frustration spread quickly. Many began to ask the questions they had been holding back for months. Can the courts be trusted? Can law enforcement be relied upon? And can the truth survive in a system that seems to stall at every critical moment? For the Haro family, the delays are agonizing. They have placed their faith in the same institutions, now accused of withholding answers. Each press release, each update, feels carefully managed, controlled, and stripped of detail. And when the public feels that truth is being filtered, suspicion naturally grows. History has shown us that in high-profile cases, Transparency is the key to maintaining confidence. But in this case, the silence has become deafening. Social media has erupted with theories, accusations, and anger. Some argue the system is protecting powerful interests. Others believe investigators are simply overwhelmed, afraid to expose mistakes that may have already compromised the case. What remains undeniable is this: every time law enforcement chooses silence over clarity, trust in the system erodes. And when trust erodes, justice itself is called into question. Because this is no longer just about finding Emmanuel Haro, it is about whether the very institutions meant to protect the public are still capable of telling the truth. When a case takes a sudden turn, and a confession is followed not by progress, but by delay, one question rises above all others. What are they hiding? There are three possibilities, and each one is as unsettling as the next. The first possibility is that investigators are scrambling to fill critical gaps in their case. Rebecca Haro's confession may have raised new questions instead of providing clear answers. Perhaps she revealed information that doesn't align with the evidence, forcing prosecutors to regroup before moving forward. If that is true, it means this case is far less stable than the public has been led to believe. The second possibility is far darker: a cover-up. It wouldn't be the first time powerful interests influence the course of justice. Could someone connected to this case be shielded from exposure? Could delaying the hearing be a way to control the narrative, to suppress damaging details before they reach the public? If so, this isn't just about Emmanuel Haro anymore. It's about corruption at the highest levels. And then there is the third possibility: strategy. Prosecutors may already have the truth in hand, and they may believe delaying the hearing strengthens their position. Extra time could allow them to secure more evidence, lock in testimony, or prepare a case that leaves no room for doubt. If that is the reason, the delay may be frustrating, but it could mean justice is being built carefully, brick by brick. So which is it? A desperate scramble, a deliberate cover-up, or a calculated strategy? Until October 16th, the truth remains sealed away. And the longer it stays hidden, the more dangerous the silence becomes. The disappearance of Emmanuel Haro is more than a case file, more than a headline. It is a family's nightmare, a community's wound, and a growing shadow over the justice system itself. A confession has been made, but the truth remains locked away. The hearing has been delayed, and the public is left with nothing but questions. October 16th now stands as the date circled on every calendar, a day that could bring answers, or a day that could bring more silence. And until that moment arrives, the uncertainty will haunt Emmanuel's family, and it will haunt us all. But here is what cannot be forgotten: justice delayed is not justice delivered. Every day that passes is another day without closure, another day where trust in the system continues to crumble. The truth matters, not just for Emmanuel, but for every person who looks to the courts and law enforcement for fairness, honesty, and accountability. So I ask you, what do you believe? Is this justice being carefully built, or justice being quietly denied? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you don't want to miss a single development in this case, subscribe now and turn on notifications. I'll be watching closely, inside and outside the courtroom, to bring you the details they won't tell you. This is Detective Emma, and together we will not stop until the truth about Emmanuel Haro is finally revealed and laid to rest.